I took a shortcut through the tunnel. Now I'm in a town that shouldn't exist. I always thought shortcuts were blessings, small miracles that shave minutes off long, boring drives. But that tunnel, the one I took off Highway 17 last Friday, that wasn't a shortcut. It was a trap. And now, I'm stuck in a place that doesn't show up on any map, a town that shouldn't exist. It started like any normal evening. I was driving back from a job interview in the city, frustrated and tired. My phone battery had died 2 hours earlier, and my GPS had gone out with it. I remembered a tip from a local at the gas station before I left. If you're ever stuck on Highway 17, there's an old tunnel past mile marker 53. Locals say it's a faster route through the mountains. Just be sure to drive straight through. Don't stop. At the time, it sounded like local superstition or maybe a joke. But as the sun started to dip behind the trees and my gaslight blinked to life, I found myself nearing that exact mile marker. The entrance was almost hidden, a yawning mouth of crumbling stone tucked behind tall trees and thick brush. A rusted sign barely clung to its hinges above the tunnel. No through traffic. Dead end. Strange, considering it was supposed to be a shortcut. But I was tired. The road ahead was slow and winding. And part of me, the part that always wanted to outsmart the road, nudged me to turn in. So I did. The moment I entered, my headlights dimmed slightly. At first, I chalked it up to the aging battery. But the air in the tunnel was different. It was unnaturally still. There was no wind, no distant of my tires on pavement, no echo of my engine, just silence. The road stretched on for what felt like forever. The deeper I drove, the more distorted things became. The walls were damp, coated with moss and a thick, dark slime. My headlights flickered again, then stabilized. I glanced at the dashboard. The clock was frozen at 6:17 p.m., the exact time I'd entered. About halfway through, I saw something that made my heart stop. A car, parked sideways, empty, dust-covered. The driver's door swung open slowly as if it had been disturbed just moments before I arrived. I slowed to a crawl, expecting to see someone waving me down, an injured driver or maybe a broken-down tourist. But there was no one, no footprints, no sound. I eased past it, my tires crunching over shattered glass. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel now. I should have turned around. But when I looked into my rear-view mirror, the tunnel behind me was gone. Not just in shadow, gone. Black, absolute nothingness. Like the road had been swallowed behind me. I pressed the gas harder. The tunnel finally gave way to daylight. But what I found on the other side wasn't any road I remembered. It opened into a valley, wide, green, quiet. A narrow road stretched through a small town, nestled between two hills. The buildings were old, 1950s-style homes and brick storefronts. At first glance, it looked like a sleepy little place frozen in time. Quaint even, there were no cars, no people, just rows of houses, all with curtains drawn. No lights on, no sounds, not even birds or wind. I drove slowly, unsure what to do. My phone still wouldn't turn on. The car radio was stuck on static, even though I flipped through every station. Then I saw the sign at the town entrance. Welcome to Grafton. Population, 381. I'd never heard of Grafton before. It wasn't on any map I'd ever seen, and I'd been through this area more times than I could count. I pulled over in front of a diner, Millie's Place, with an old Coca-Cola sign swinging in the breeze. The door was slightly open. I stepped out, the gravel crunching beneath my boots, and called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. I peeked inside. The booths were set, silverware laid out neatly, coffee still in mugs on a couple tables, but the place was empty, not abandoned, just left, like everyone stood up and walked out all at once. A sudden noise made me jump. The bell over the diner door jingled behind me. I spun around. No one was there, but the door had closed. I ran back to my car and got inside. It still started. Thank God. I drove up and down the town streets looking for life. Any life. A gas station. A phone booth. A police station. Nothing. Then I saw a man. standing in the middle of the road, facing away from me. He wore a gray suit, wrinkled and torn at the sleeves. His hands hung stiff at his sides. I slowed the car. "Hey, excuse me. I need help." I called out. No response. I honked the horn. Still nothing. Then he turned. His eyes weren't right. They were glassy like old marbles. His skin had a waxy sheen to it. And he didn't blink. He raised a hand, slowly, and pointed. Behind me, I looked in the rearview mirror. The tunnel. It was back. But now it was just a wall of brick. Sealed shut. I looked back at the man. But he was gone. Conclusion. I don't know what Grafton is or why I'm here, but something is wrong with this town. Terribly wrong. Time doesn't move. My phone is dead. The people, if they are people, watch from windows, but never come out. There are rules here. I just haven't figured them out yet. But I think I'm not the only one trapped. And if I don't find a way out, I'll become part of Grafton. Forever. I spent the first few hours in Grafton looking for people. I thought if I could just find someone, they'd explain what was going on, why time was frozen, why nothing worked, why the tunnel sealed behind me. But now I realize something worse. There are people here, they just don't act human. And last night, I found a list of rules hidden beneath the floorboards of my motel room. That's when I knew Grafton is not a place. It's a trap, and someone left these rules behind, probably right before they disappeared. I found the Grafton Motel after looping the town twice. It was the only place with an open door that didn't feel completely decayed. Dust lay thick on the lobby desk. The room key rack was still mostly full, except for a few missing tags. I grabbed room 9. When I entered the room, I was hit by a wave of musty air. The wallpaper peeled at the corners. An old rotary phone sat unplugged on the nightstand. The window faced a road, but the curtains had been pinned shut with nails from the inside. Weird. I pried them open slightly, just enough to peek through. And what I saw chilled me. Across the road, a woman stood perfectly still in front of a house. Her face was turned toward the motel. Toward me. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. I stepped back, let the curtain fall. I barely slept. But sometime around what I guess was 3 a.m., I heard something underneath the bed. Scratching. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed my phone, but it was still dead. I knelt, heart pounding, and looked underneath. Nothing. Just dust. But when I sat back up, the nightstand drawer was open. I hadn't touched it. Inside, I found a small leather-bound notebook. Tattered. The cover cracked. Someone had scribbled in the front, with frantic handwriting. Grafton rules, follow or die. Inside the notebook, the rules. There were 7 rules, written shakily, as if the person was running out of time. Rule number 1, do not look into the windows after dark. They look back. Rule number 2, if someone knocks after midnight, don't open the door, no matter how familiar they sound. Rule number 3, always check the mirrors at sunrise. If your reflection is missing, stay inside that day. Rule number 4. Avoid the church bell at noon. It's not for you. Rule number 5. Don't talk to the children. They haven't been children in a long time. Rule number 6. If you see your own car driving down the street, hide. That version of you didn't escape. Rule number 7. The tunnel opens once a month, but only one person gets out. I stared at the page for a long time, unsure if this was some sick joke or if it was real. But then I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. My head snapped toward the motel door. 3 slow knocks. It was 12:03 a.m. A voice came from the other side. My voice. Hey, it's me. Open up. I just want to talk. I backed up slowly. I hadn't made a sound since I entered this room. No one could have mimicked my voice unless the rule was right. Open the door, man. I don't want to be stuck out here. More knocking. Louder now. More urgent. Come on. Just let me in. I'm scared. I didn't move. I held my breath. The knocking stopped. Silence. I waited 2 more minutes. Then 5. I inched toward the peephole and looked out. Nothing. But when I turned back, the notebook was open to a new page. I swear I hadn't touched it. A new message was written there. Good job. You followed rule number 2. Most don't. Morning. A strange change in Grafton. When the light outside turned faintly orange, I checked the mirror like the book said. My reflection stared back. Normal, I guess. I took the notebook with me and stepped outside. The woman across the road was gone. The streets were still empty. No birds. No bugs. No wind. Just stillness. But now I noticed something else. The town had shifted. What was once a diner was now a post office. The gas station had disappeared entirely. Street signs had changed, names I didn't recognize. One said Hollow Road. Another read Memory Loop. And the people, they were out, standing silently on porches, sidewalks, or behind windows, all watching me, not moving, just watching. I tried speaking to one of them, a man in a plaid shirt leaning against a lamppost. He didn't blink or respond, just stared. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Then, all at once, every single person turned their heads toward the church at the end of the street. The bell started ringing. I looked at the notebook. Rule number 4, avoid the church bell at noon. It's not for you. I didn't wait to see what would happen. I ducked into the alley between 2 shops and ran until I couldn't hear the ringing anymore. I crouched behind a dumpster, gasping for air, when I heard something metallic scraping against pavement. Footsteps. Dragging. I peeked around the corner. Something was walking down the alley. Something tall, thin, with joints that didn't bend right. Its head twisted unnaturally, swiveling from side to side. The moment its eyes met mine, it smiled. Wide, too wide. Rows of teeth like broken piano keys. It whispered something I didn't understand. A word in a language I've never heard. But I felt it, deep in my chest. Stay. Escape? Or deeper in. I ran again. Didn't stop until I reached the edge of town. The road out was gone. Just trees. An endless stretch of forest that wasn't there before. I sat on the hood of my car, staring at the sky that didn't move. Not a single cloud. Just stillness. That's when I saw the person again. Same man from yesterday. The one who pointed behind me. This time, he was holding a sign. Day 2. You're still alive. He dropped the sign and vanished into a nearby house. I walked over, grabbed the sign, flipped it over. A message was written on the back. Find the bell tower. That's where it all started. That's where it ends. Outro narration style. There are rules here in Grafton. Not to protect me, but to test me. Someone made them. Someone who thought they could survive. I need to find that bell tower. I need to know what's happening. Because if rule number 7 is true, and the tunnel only opens once a month, then I have less than 30 days to figure this out. Or I'll be stuck here forever. The town of Grafton is alive. Not in the way a normal town breathes, with people and traffic and time. No, Grafton is alive like a spider is alive. It waits, watches, and it traps. But I'm done hiding. Because if that notebook is right, and if the bell tower is where it all began, then it's time to go straight into the heart of this place. Even if it kills me, the sign left by the silent man still haunts me. Find the bell tower. That's where it all started. That's where it ends. It had taken me 2 days of wandering Grafton to realize the town shifts at night. Buildings disappear. Streets twist into new names, and landmarks vanish only to reappear in different locations the next morning. But the church, the bell tower, is the one thing that doesn't move. It looms in the distance, no matter where I go. Always visible, always watching. I waited until sunrise. I checked the mirror again. My reflection was still there, but for a second, it didn't move when I did. It blinked 1 beat too late. I threw a towel over it and left. As I made my way toward the church, the people of Grafton emerged again, standing in doorways, in windows, on the sidewalks, their heads turned in perfect unison as I passed. None of them spoke. None moved. But as I crossed Hollow Road, I saw something that stopped me cold. A young boy, maybe 8 years old, pale, smiling. sitting on a red tricycle in the middle of the road. "Want to play a game?" he asked. His voice was flat, too calm. "I found your eyes. Want them back." I froze. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. I remembered rule number 5 from the notebook. Don't talk to the children. They haven't been children in a long time. I backed away. The boy's smile stretched unnaturally wide, cracking the skin at the edges. Blood trickled down both sides of his mouth. He rang the bell on his tricycle once. Ding. And the sound echoed across the street like it had been amplified 100 times. Windows around me shattered. I ran. The church doors were enormous and ancient, with rusted iron handles and carvings in a language I didn't recognize. The wood looked charred in places, and the stained glass above the arch depicted images that made my stomach turn. Eyes bleeding, faceless priests, a tunnel that twisted downward into what looked like a screaming mouth. I grabbed the handle and pulled. The doors creaked open slowly, groaning like they hadn't moved in decades. The air inside was cold, bitter, and the pews were filled with mannequins, hundreds of them, dressed like parishioners, some in tattered Sunday best, others in bloody robes, all facing forward toward the altar. I stepped inside. My foot echoed loud against a stone. Every mannequin's head turned to face me at once. I nearly bolted, but something compelled me forward. At the front of the altar was a spiral staircase leading up to the tower. I took a deep breath and climbed. The staircase was long, much longer than it should have been. My legs burned after what felt like 10 minutes of climbing, and the tower had only seemed 5 stories tall from the outside. But eventually, I reached the top. The bell loomed above me, old, blackened, massive. The sound it made wasn't mechanical. It didn't vibrate like metal. It moaned like a living thing. Beneath the bell was a trapdoor, chained shut. I knelt beside it, and that's when I saw the message scratched into the wood. "This is the heart. Do not unlock it unless you're ready to see." I looked around. The notebook was gone from my pocket, but in its place, a key. I didn't put it there, but I didn't hesitate. I unlocked the chains. The trapdoor creaked open, revealing a narrow, glowing shaft beneath. Not warm light, but blue, cold, pulsing like veins. I climbed down. The space beneath the bell tower was massive, an impossible underground cavern filled with machinery, gears, and walls of human eyes embedded into the stone. They blinked. They followed me. They wept blood. In the center was a pedestal. On it, a photograph of me and my parents, from years ago, at my old childhood home. But here's the thing. This picture never existed. Not in my world. My parents disappeared when I was 10. I never saw them again. There were no photos. Nothing. But here they were, smiling, happy, standing next to me. Another note was next to the photo. "You're not the first you to make it this far, but maybe you're the last." Then I heard footsteps, not behind me, inside me, like echoes in my skull. A mirror slid up from the floor in front of the pedestal. Slowly, silently, my reflection stood there. But it wasn't me. Its eyes were empty. Its skin, too smooth. Its smile constant. "Wrong. You've seen too much," it whispered. "Now it's your turn to stay." I turned to run, but the cavern sealed behind me. Stone grew where the entrance was, bones shifting into walls. I looked at the mirror again. The other me wasn't there anymore, but I felt something behind me. I don't remember how I got out. Just pain. Screaming. A light. A voice, one I don't recognize. "He's not ready yet. Let him wander." When I came to, I was lying in the middle of the church aisle. The mannequins were gone. The notebook was in my hand again, and a new rule was written inside. New rule. If you make it to the heart, don't look into the mirror. It learns too quickly. I thought the rules were written to help me survive. Now I wonder if they're just a warning, left behind by another version of me, or someone who never escaped. The tunnel out reopens in less than 27 days. And if the mirror learned me, then I'm not the only me walking around Grafton anymore. I just hope I'm the right one when the time comes to leave. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But in Grafton, imitation is how the town survives. It copies, learns, replaces, and something is walking around with my face. Something that remembers things I don't, because maybe, just maybe, it was me first. After my time beneath the bell tower, I tried to leave. I really did. I followed the winding roads again, checked the signs, followed every escape route I could find from the old map etched into notebook. But the more I walked, the more I realized I wasn't just lost. The town was changing behind me. Buildings reshaped themselves when I turned corners. Windows showed rooms from different houses. One mirror in an abandoned store flashed an image of me sitting on a porch I'd never seen, rocking a chair with black eyes and no shadow. The notebook's pages had changed again. This time, there was a smear of something dark over rule number 2, the one about the clocks. Underneath, it was a new message in shaky handwriting. It knows who you are now, and it likes you better. At dusk, I returned to the motel I'd been using for shelter. Room 3. The only one that didn't seem to rot while I was inside. But the door was open. The bed was made. My clothes were neatly folded. And I was inside. Or rather, the other me, sitting at the desk, writing in the notebook. When it saw me, it smiled, that too smooth smile again. The one that didn't touch the eyes. "You're back," it said in my exact voice. "You were gone longer this time." I stepped back, heart thundering. "You're not me?" It tilted its head. "You're right. I'm the improved version. I remember the things you forgot. I feel the pain you avoided. I am what Grafton made of you." Then it stood, and I watched myself walk across the room. But the strangest part? My body moved like it had weight. Not like a copy. Not like a ghost. This thing was real. I ran. That night, I saw more of them. At the diner's broken windows, me. Sipping coffee with a waitress who had no eyes. At the fire station, me. Holding an axe and practicing my own smile in a cracked mirror. Even in the distance, watching from the bell tower's top floor, me, arms stretched wide like a crucifix as thunder cracked overhead. Grafton didn't just create one imitation. It made many, and they were spreading. Each one seemed more confident, like it remembered more of my past than I did. One held a photo of my dead dog. Another hummed a lullaby my mom used to sing, a memory I hadn't thought about in 20 years. They weren't just copying me. They were becoming me. I locked myself inside the library that night. Its walls were covered in scrawled pages, ancient rules, notes from past visitors, theories, scribbles. One repeated phrase kept showing up in red ink. The longer you stay, the more of you it makes. I finally found a piece of writing hidden under a loose floorboard, a page torn from an old version of the notebook. The handwriting was messier, erratic. It read, "There are 13 of us now, all versions of me. Some remember childhood. Others remember dying. The newest one doesn't speak. It only writes. I think it's writing the rules." And below that, another message scratched directly into the wood. "If you forget who you are, Grafton chooses for you." I stared at the words until the shadows in the corner of the room began to move. I had to be sure. I went to the only honest place left, the bathroom mirror in room 3. I stared at myself for hours, waiting, watching. Then finally a twitch. My reflection blinked out of sync again. But this time, instead of copying me late, it blinked before I did, then smiled. "You're catching up," it whispered, mouth unmoving. I backed away, my breath ragged. The mirror didn't show the room behind me anymore. It showed a different room, one darker, stained red, with other reflections walking around behind my own. It was a hive, a hall of versions. One of them pressed a hand to the glass, and suddenly I was back in the library. No memory of how I got there. It's getting harder to remember what my voice actually sounds like. Harder to tell if the thoughts in my head are mine or the town's. Sometimes I speak, and I hear delay, like someone else is repeating me a fraction of a second later. The notebook updated again. Rule number 9 now reads, "If you meet yourself, run. But if they don't run too, you're already them." I made it back to the tunnel entrance yesterday. It had returned, glowing faintly, humming softly, and standing in front of it, two of me, arguing. One sobbed. One stood silently, fists clenched. They both turned as I approached. Both called out. Same voice. Same face. I'm the real one, they each said. He's trying to take your chance. I froze. I couldn't trust either. But that's when the notebook grew warm in my pocket. I opened it, a new scribble forming before my eyes. Only one leaves. The town decides. Then both versions of me looked upward. I followed their gaze. The sky was watching. Eyes, hundreds of them, opening in the clouds like blinking stars. I made my choice. I ran into the tunnel. Didn't wait. Didn't check which of me followed. Outro narration style. I don't know if I escaped. I'm out of the town, yes. The sky is blue. Cars drive past. Birds sing. But when I asked a man for directions earlier, he looked confused. Grafton, he said. Never heard of it. That place doesn't exist. I smiled, thanked him, but my reflection in the store window, as I passed, didn't smile back. I made it out of Grafton. Or at least, I think I did. But something's wrong with the world now. Time glitches. People stare too long. Mirrors lie. Shadows move when I don't. And somewhere, one version of me didn't leave that town. It followed. I've been home for 3 days. My apartment's just as I left it. Mail piled up. Phone full of missed calls. Work emails screaming for replies. Everything should be normal. But something's not right. For one, people pause around me, like they're buffering. I'll say hello, and they respond 2 seconds later, but not quite to what I said. A friend asked me today, "Are you feeling better since the fire?" There was no fire. The cracks are widening. At the cafe this morning, I saw someone reading the notebook. The same notebook from Grafton. The exact weathered cover. Same missing corner. When I approached, the person folded it calmly, stood up, and whispered, "You never left. You just moved deeper in." I blinked. They were gone. The chair still rocking. Worse still, the city layout feels off. My street now has an alley where there wasn't one before. The deli next to the gas station is gone. In its place is a mirror shop I've never seen before, with no customers. And my own voice? I heard it coming from behind a dumpster yesterday. Laughing. It's back. I found a notebook on my kitchen counter. Open to a page that wasn't there before. Rule number 13. If you cross back, the town smiles. But if you try to run, it remembers your name. Beneath that, in the margin, written in red, "You never left. Just change layers." I flipped the pages. Most were blank. But at the very back was a list of names. Mine was the last one. Crossed out, then rewritten. Twice. I called my mom yesterday. She cried on the phone. "I thought you died in the accident," she sobbed. "What accident?" "The tunnel collapse. The search team never found your body." But I never told her about the tunnel. Not once. I asked her what year it was. She hesitated. 2027. It's 2025. Last night, I set up a camera while I slept. I needed proof, a sense of control. I reviewed the footage this morning. At 2:12 a.m., someone got out of my bed. Not just any someone. Me. He walked to the mirror, touched it, smiled. Then he turned to face the camera, stared directly into lens. "You're still dreaming," he whispered. "But don't worry. I'm wide awake." Then he walked out of frame. And the me in bed, never moved once. Today, I got a postcard. Postmarked from Grafton. No return address. On the front, a photo of the bell tower. On the back, "We miss you. Stop pretending." Attached was a scrap of notebook paper. Rule number 14. If your memory is conflict, believe the one with more pain. That night, I dreamed of burning alive in the tunnel. I smelled my own hair melt, felt my lungs collapse. But I never burned. Did I? The mirror in my hallway is fogged permanently now. No matter how much I wipe it, But behind that fog, I see movement. I think it's the versions I left behind. Watching, smiling, waiting. One night, I approached it, and this time, the glass was gone. I reached through, felt another hand grip mine, pulled hard. I staggered back, fell, and the mirror was solid again. But I wasn't alone in the hallway. There were wet footprints leading away from the glass. I've stopped sleeping. The notebook won't let me. Every time I close my eyes, I hear scratching, like a pen dragging across paper. Writing new rules, making new versions, drawing new maps. The final rule appeared today. Rule number 15. Once Grafton touches you, it writes you in. You're no longer the author of your story, just the paper it scribbles on. I think that's what the tunnel really was, not an escape. A rewrite, a drafting table for lives. Now I hear my voice in places I've never been. A news report featured my face in a town 2 states away. Someone sent me a video of me walking into a school I never attended. Final hook ending, voiceover style. I'm not telling this story to warn you, because warning implies choice. And if you've heard this far, if you've listened this long, then maybe you already took a shortcut once too. Maybe that town's already watching you. Maybe there's already a version waiting to take your place. Just remember, when you forget who you are, the town remembers for you. And Grafton never lets go.